But now winter is truly coming.
Frosty the Snowman was a jolly, happy soul.
Hey, welcome to Half the Battle, and welcome back to Winter is Coming! We're finishing the year by taking a look at the Snowcat and other vehicles Frostbite came with over the years. So, meet the Snowcat. This vehicle was released in 1985 with all original parts. And it is one of the best Arctic vehicles they ever made. In fact, the only one I personally like better is the Cobra Wolf. Though I understand it if others rate the Snowcat higher. Now, I said it was one of the best, but it is also one of the most frustrating. So, before I sing this thing's praises, I'm gonna vent. There are so many things you can lose. First of all, there's the windshield wiper. It's a neat little play feature, but is removable and tends to get removed. Forever. Then there's the ski torpedoes. Another great little innovation, but they are often missing. The torpedoes more so than the skis. As while the skis snap snugly and securely on the vehicle, the torpedoes themselves are a bit loose and will fall off, occasionally when handling the toy. Last and worst, there are 3 lights.
There are 4 lights!
No, Picard, just 3, thank God. There's a big one above the cockpit and 2 headlights. These have transparent plastic covers that are missing more often than not. So often in fact that I wasn't even sure anymore if the thing even came with the 2 headlight covers. I had to double check! And those are just the pieces that are the easiest to lose. There are also the rubbery rims above the front tires. Then there's the steering wheel and the missile rack in the back. That thing has problems of its own, as the top snaps onto the tower, but the connection is pretty fragile and can break pretty easily. Like on this one. That's my original Snowcat from my childhood, by the way. As you can see, there's, some wear and tear. The last problem with the Snowcat is pretty obvious when you look at these. They are extremely prone to yellowing, like unbelievably so. It's like the thing is a Commodore 64 that's been in a chainsmoker's house for 30 years. In fact, I'm convinced that for the Tiger Cat, they just painted some black tiger stripes on the old stock Hasbro still had lying around. So, if you take into account all that I've just said, finding a mint complete one, well, that's about as easy as finding a pregnancy test in an old folks' home. It almost justifies the high prices for a mint in box one, except there's no guarantee that the plastic won't have yellowed even inside a sealed box. I'm sorry, but sometimes you just have to take a great big dump to settle the guts before you can settle in for a great feast. And there are plenty of treats to be had here, so let's dig in. It is absolutely gorgeous, even a yellowed one. The amount of detailing in the mold is astonishing, especially in the back. Of course, this makes it a pain in the ass to clean if you've let one collect dust in your garage for years. But that's on me, not the toy. The missile rack especially is a thing to behold. And to turn a negative into a positive, since it has so many parts to lose, it also has a ton of play value. The ski torpedoes, the missile rack, hell, even the windshield wiper. They all add so much. And if you look at the windshield, the parts that the wiper wouldn't reach are actually molded to be frosted over. That's incredible! Though it doesn't make as much sense on the Tiger Cat. There's also an engine cover of sorts in the back that's removable, but isn't lost that often. It even has a tow hook a lot of vehicles had, so it can drag other stuff into battle. There's room for 2 figures in the cockpit, 2 figures on the back, and 2 on the side that can hold on for dear life and hope nobody accidentally fires a ski torpedo. If you do get rid of those torpedoes, there are more foot pegs underneath, but those aren't really the ideal place to put figures. All in all, a beautiful vehicle with tons of interactivity. It was top of the line back in '85, and is still top of the line now. Shame about the yellowing though. And speaking of yellow, meet the Tiger Cat. This vehicle was released in 1988 with no original parts. It's a straight repaint of the Snowcat, so most of what I've said about the original can apply to this toy. Except for a few things. There's no fear of yellowing since, it's already yellow. And I'm convinced that when they were brainstorming Tiger Force, one guy asked, "Hey, what's a good vehicle for this?" And another said, "The Snowcat. We already know it looks good in yellow." Also, like I mentioned in the first video of this impromptu trilogy, the fact that they kept the ski torpedoes makes no sense for a jungle and/or desert vehicle. As far as the color scheme and the whole Tiger Force theme goes, you either like it or you hate it. Personally, I'm mostly fine with it, but it doesn't hold a candle to the original. And those were the vehicles from the original line. Moving on, let's hit the 2003 and the Toys R Us exclusive Snowcat that came with the Frostbite that was played by a Snowjob figure. It looks pretty similar to the original, but there are differences. It's got different missiles on top, and they're blue now. More significantly, no more ski torpedoes. The sides of the vehicle look bare now. There's a reason for that, one I haven't showed you yet. You see, this vehicle was released when they were all in with their sound attack gimmick. It came with this awful thing! Yeah, newly designed vehicles like the Hiss had their sound gimmick built in. But when they used old vehicle molds, there was often no room in them, so they, improvised. The sound device plugs into the heavily modified back of the Snowcat, while the gun attaches to one of the dumbbell pegs previously used for the skis. Everything about this looks dumb. The sound box is an eyesore, and the gun is comically oversized, and makes the vehicle look really lopsided. I mean, look at the size of that thing. Do you think Frostbite might be compensating for something? But wait, it gets dumber. There's also a rocket launcher attachment you can put on top of the frickin' rocket launcher. That's some old school meme crap. Yo dog, we put a missile on your missile so you can fire while you drive. With all these attachments, it looks like the Snowcat was assimilated by the Borg. So, my advice? Take all that crap off, and you still have a great looking vehicle. It's ironic really, the first Snowcat looks great if you have all the parts for it. This one is best if you leave several parts off. Lastly, the added grey camo pattern is a nice touch, and maybe an homage to the Tiger Force incarnation. We've got one more vehicle to look at, one that isn't the Snowcat, but does seem to be inspired a bit by the original. Meet the Ice Dagger. This vehicle was released in 2009 as part of the Rise of Cobra line with no original parts. Yeah, this is a repaint of the 2004 Ice Saber, a vehicle that came with a Snow Bro version of Frostbite, but I don't have that one. And first impressions of this one? Is this a G.I.Joe vehicle? I don't mean the toy line, I mean the Joe faction specifically. Due to the color, it looks like a Cobra weapon. To be precise, it looks like a Hiss tank and a Snowcat had a baby. You'll note there are no stickers on mine. That's because I honestly haven't decided if I should slap some Cobra stickers on it and call it good. The thing looks really nice and sleek, and seems very sturdy. And that last part is just an illusion, unfortunately. Look at this! Yeah, parts will flip open very, very easily. That's because this toy had a gimmick. Press a button on the back and a gunner station will pop out. It looks very cool. Unfortunately, it's about as stable as a slinky. See? It just feels really, really cheap. In this position, the vehicle looks even more like a Hiss tank, albeit one converted for snow. It looks cool, but whoever's the gunner better not get seasick easily. That's the most important thing to take away here. It looks cool, but it feels very flimsy. Not at all the sturdy construction for rugged play standards that we've come to expect and require of G.I.Joe. Putting that aside, the vehicle comfortably holds 4 figures, and an additional one uncomfortably. Yeah, I forgot to mention, the Ice Dagger has another feature. The back opens up to reveal a tiny, tiny room with a seat for 1 figure. There's no other features inside, and the door looks like it's reinforced, so I'm assuming this is a temporary prison. Pretty sure a prison cell that small is against the Geneva Convention or something, even if it is just to transport a captive. Yeah, you see how this should be a Cobra tank? Unusual cruelty would fit really well with them. My only conclusion can be that the Ice Dagger looks really nice, but feels really flimsy, and it should have been a Cobra vehicle. And that's all the Frostbite vehicles I have. The first one is still the best, while I'll rate the others about the same. All have pros and cons. Though I do have to point out one more toy called Snowcat from Hasbro that wasn't in the G.I.Joe line. They made a Transformer called Snowcat, a Decepticon whose vehicle mode was clearly based on the G.I. Joe toy. I did a review on it for April Fool's one year. You can find it on my channel. It's just called Snowcat, I think. With that, let's round things off by briefly looking at the Snowcat as it appeared in other media. It was seen a few times in the comics with Frostbite, as we've discussed 2 weeks ago. It was seen a bunch more in the cartoon without Frostbite. Basically, whenever the Joes went somewhere cold, the Snowcat would be there. It was in like 12 episodes. Actually, it was in 13, but one appearance was really weird. Because in one episode, it was a frickin' Cobra vehicle. Yeah, one time they show up as Cobra equipment, no reason given, no questions asked. And this was in Season 2, when the thing had been well established. I assume they used the Snowcat design because Cobra didn't have Arctic vehicles at the time. Yeah, it's very odd, but Cobra didn't get any cold weather vehicles until 1987. But when they did get one, it was the Cobra Wolf, one of my favorite vehicles, as I said in the beginning. So they made up for lost time there. Oh, and for completeness sake, I'll mention that the Ice Saber didn't appear in the Rise of Cobra movie. So, those were the Snow and Tiger Cats, as well as the Ice Saber. And that was my last review of the year, and my last review of the decade. So, have a great end of the year, a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays and all that, and I'll see you in 2020. And hey, why not like, share and subscribe if that's your thing?
Frosty the Snowman was a jolly happy soul.